life-saving equipment on board. In the event of an emergency, our trained crew members will assist you with our life-saving equipment. The instructions for wearing life jackets are located on every deck. Life rafts are located on the third deck. During the safety, please do not stand on the edges, slow the backs of the ledges, or the rails. If you have young people in you, keep them in sight at all times, and have them walk about the vessel and not run. There is the possibility that
a 19th century stronghold that would and even after the notorious penitentiary closed, Alcatraz continued to make history. In 1969,
where some of the most notorious criminals were reduced to mere numbers. But beyond the bleak and imposing penitentiary walls lie the stories of a very different Alcatraz. Stories of protection and defense, of political activism and progress, of families and children, and of nature and renewal. Here the present is built on the remnants of the past, and each new era adds another chapter. Just over a mile from San Francisco lies a 22-acre island of sandstone, sculpted over time by harsh weather and waves, and by human events. It's a rough, inhospitable place that challenges life to survive.
Alcatraz symbolizes man desperately trying to make habitable space out of the most uninhabitable piece of real estate. When I see it, I think of the jumble of buildings and the stories out there. I think of the people that I talked to who lived in these buildings. It's just a fascinating story.
Its story begins at the end of the last ice age, when a river valley filled with water forming the San Francisco Bay. The rocky summit of a submerged hill eventually became the island we know today. San Francisco began as a small, sparsely populated town called Yerba Buena, but all that changed in 1848 with the discovery of gold. Soon the population exploded, and thousands of ships from around the world crowded its shores. The U.S. Army stepped in.
The Army decided to fortify Alcatraz and a couple of other places on the bay during the California Gold Rush. Not to protect gold so much, but to protect San Francisco Bay itself. Whatever nation controlled San Francisco Bay controlled West.
The Army designed a triangle of defense with batteries at Line Point, Fort Point, and Alcatraz. The island was perfectly positioned to guard the entrance to the bay.
So the island ended up looking almost like a walled medieval city in the middle of San Francisco Bay. Instead of being surrounded by, the land is surrounded by water. There's only one place to get into the dock and one road to the top, with little buildings clinging to the sides.
By the start of the Civil War, Alcatraz had become the first permanent military fortress on the West Coast. With dozens of long-range cannons positioned around the island, it was its own ring of fire. The centerpiece was the imposing brick and granite citadel, the island's final line of defense. It was also home to the first lighthouse on the West Coast, guiding ships into the bay. Fort Alcatraz was not only positioned to keep Confederates out, it was also the perfect place to keep prisoners in.
Alcatraz was never involved in any battles in California, and after the Civil War, technology sort of left the island behind. By the turn of the century, there were only a handful of cannon, and there were several hundred prisoners. And in 1907, they just renamed the island from Fort Alcatraz to U.S. Army military prison Alcatraz Island.
The prison population continued to swell, and work began on a prominent new cell house to replace the citadel. Built by the prisoners themselves, when it was completed, it became the largest steel-reinforced concrete building in the world. Today, remnants of the fortress remain. Some are easy to spot, but much of it lies buried in the buildings from later years.
People say Alcatraz is like a layer-cake history. This is probably our best example here on the left. You can see where the brickwork on the lower part of the building, this goes back to the American Civil War. Where the brick ends is where the war ended and where the money ran out.
By the 1930s, the money did run out. Alcatraz became too costly for the War Department to maintain. But at the time, a new, more dangerous criminal had emerged. Prohibition, coupled with the Great Depression, triggered an unprecedented wave of violent crime. The gangster era was in full swing. An increasingly fearful American public called for a tougher type of detention facility, and in 1933, the War Department transitioned Alcatraz to the newly created Federal Bureau of Prisons. State-of-the-art improvements transformed the cell house, with more than 300 single-man cells, remote-controlled door mechanisms, tool-proof steel bars and bulletproof glass, multiple guard towers and barbed wire fences. U.S. Penitentiary Alcatraz became the most feared federal prison in America. This seemingly impenetrable maximum security prison held some of the most notorious criminals of the day. Scarface Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, Alvin Creepy Carpus, and the Birdman Robert Stroud. Its high-profile residents created a media frenzy. Countless newspaper articles, newsreels, and Hollywood films gave The Rock a near-mythic status. For outsiders, the mystique was intriguing. For those on the inside, reality was a different story.
I'm John Banner, 1133 Alcatraz. I was here for bank robbery, and I was here for 4 years. It made an honest man out of me. It was a wake-up call.
Life on The Rock was monotonous at best. The prisoners followed a strict routine.
Rule 5 now rules. Here, you're allowed food, clothing, shelter, medical attention, and nothing else.
Rule 21. Prisoners are required to work at whatever they're told to do.
There's no incentive for good behavior, only punishment for bad.
Rule 30. A prisoner's cell is subject to search at any time.
You were in a cell by yourself, just coasting with your own thoughts, and if you looked up at two of the walls at the marquee in front, it would seem like they would move. You could actually think, that's something moved on me. You get the word you was losing it yourself.
It was a cold, damp, and tedious place. And for prisoners who didn't adhere to the rules, life took a turn for the worse.
As most people realize, it's very difficult being an inmate on Alcatraz in the general population, but it's much more difficult being confined in D block here. This is where we kept the inmates who made a lot of troubles, who attacked officers. I've seen inmates confined in these holds here for as much as 14 days.
Contact with the outside world was all but severed, but dangled painfully just out of reach. The city shimmered in the distance, its sounds echoed across the bay.
There's punishment. Seeing the city so close, and yet so far away. Every day I thought of escape out of it, but I knew I could not swim that bay.
Most people believed that no one could escape Alcatraz and survive. If you managed to break out, the frigid water and deadly currents would surely do you in. But that didn't stop prisoners from trying. May 1946. In what became known as the Battle of Alcatraz, riots erupted during an escape attempt, leaving 3 convicts and 2 correctional officers dead. And June 1962, the most legendary escape of all.
The spoon rose mightier than the bar as supposedly escaped from Alcatraz prison. 3 bank robbers serving long terms scratched their way through grills covering a hairpin, climbed the drainage pipe, and disappeared from the forbidding rock in San Francisco Bay.
Over the years, 36 men tried to break free in 14 separate attempts, but in the end, no one is known to have succeeded. The event refocused attention on the island, and in 1972, it was designated a national park site. Today, it's one of San Francisco's most popular destinations, drawing more than 1 million visitors a year.
I'd like to welcome you folks on behalf of the National Park Service. My name is Ranger John. Good morning.
Adventures on Alcatraz start at the dock, then most people head uphill to the cell house. After all, it's not every day you see a prison cell, or hear the sound of those 250-pound steel doors. But those who venture beyond the penitentiary walls discover the island's natural side.
Why it looks like it does, because it was burned down. We don't know it was burned down by the people that were here during the occupation. It happened in 1970. This building and another building at the top of the hill. Some say it was the occupiers. The occupiers say it was the government. They would say the government's spies came to burn the buildings to discredit the occupiers. In any case, we'll get a little bit more on that at the beginning of our tour, but I want to explain why this building looks like it does. What is this building? Well, it served 2 purposes. One, it was the post exchange, a general store and post office when it was the Army was here, and later became the social hall. We call the officers right here to the island without ever stopping. Let's take a walk. In fact, it's credited to getting milk, having dates putting on milk. because people were getting sick from sour milk in Chicago. So he pushed legislation to get that started. Not because he was so concerned about that. It's believed that he was concerned about being able to control the dairy industry. He was a millionaire back then. In today's money, he'd be a billionaire. So that had to change, and so he was sent to Alcatraz. Now, what was on that money? And so he was brought down by the Treasury Department, not by the FBI. In any case, he's brought to Alcatraz, and the train stops over in Oakland, right across the bay. And people were very here. How did you earn your way here? You broke a rule in the prison. The old saying was, when you broke the law, you got sent to prison. When you broke the law in prison, you got sent to Alcatraz. This is a place that no one could escape from. Preserved. Can you guess why that is?
So they will be studied.
To be studied, right? But they were already phasing this place out before that time, so there were only 27 men left. The reason why Alcatraz closed, the cost of operating here. Their plan is elaborate escape. Chip away that concrete, trying to get to that hole, trying to escape. Are you rooting for those prisoners or for the guards? The prisoners.
You're going to go down when you see this burned out building there, back to where you started. It's right over here by the lighthouse. So we're right here. If you walk along this road, stay right, take the high fork, stay right, and then you can those bathrooms are down here, so that's closer. Depends where you want to be.
Yeah. To go to where we can see like the cells and stuff without being down.
That's up here. So yeah, you want to go back when you see the burned out building, stay right, and then just follow just keep going up the hill.
Got it. Okay. Well, these were the burned out building.
Yeah. So it's right up here. So when you start going back out that way, you'll see this building on your left. It's really burned out. Don't go. You want to go up. Stay to the right. And just keep going up the hill. You're welcome.
Sir, could you put your hat on? I want to see your hat on.
Sure,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Europe.
What country?
It's Romania.
From where?
Romania.
Romania. Ah, okay.
It's a nice country. Okay. One second.
much for watching my Pirates of the Caribbean video. If you like the song, you can purchase it as a single or as part of my entire movie theme album on iTunes, Amazon, Google, Louder.fm, and my personal website. It helps so much to have your support, guys. Really appreciate it. Special thank you to Adam Govman for working on this whole album with me. He's the one who created the awesome backtrack for this, so all of his links are in the description below if you want to check him out. He's amazing. 5th Gen Films took this video with me, and they are just so fun to work with. All of their stuff is also in the description below. We also did a fun behind
Please keep all personal items in your possession at all times while on the ferries and while on Alcatraz. Do not accept packages, parcels, or bags from strangers. We hope that you enjoy your cruise. And thank you for sailing with Alcatraz Cruises.